how to get self-confidence. You have to build self-confidence before winning, before scoring. Work at that skill. It's a combination, like self-confidence, self-belief during the actions you take, during the games, the training sessions, but also feedbacking the things that are not going well. That's totally different in Munich. You have to win every single game, and there's no discussion about it. Our aim for this season is to win the triple. It's our duty at least to win one title. If we win two, we're kind of satisfied, but only if we win three, then it's a really, really good season. You won't see, for example, Robert Lewandowski go to the changing room directly after training. He will continue doing his own shooting routine in order to improve. The training sessions of 60 to 90 minutes or the games are only for performing. There's no room for self-doubt, there's no room for frustration, unless you can turn it into energy to perform well.
Max, welcome to Podball.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, enjoying the summer.
I'm happy for you. So I would like to ask you, why sports psychology?
A very deep question right in the beginning.
Yes.
It was not that clear in the beginning that I wanted to be doing sports psychology. I graduated from school and then went to you have to spend a year between going to university or doing something else in Germany after school, and it's like a voluntary service. And I did this with the part of the German Football Association from a county part in North Rhine-Westphalia, and I spent a year at the sports school over there, and came in touch with, for example, psychologists working in football. It was quite interesting to me. Still, I was not sure that I would completely go that way. But after that first few touches with psychology, I went to study psychology in the Netherlands. So I spent, I think, 4.5 years in Groningen, north of the Netherlands, studying psychology. Also, not with the clear vision to get back to sports, but at some point it developed that way. So in my master's program, I did a few extra courses in sports science as well, and had a really close and good contact with my sports psychology teacher then, and then it happened.
And did you play football yourself, or why did you choose football among the other sports?
I played football myself, close to my hometown, but playing quite high for that occasion, playing the U19 Bundesliga there. But then after the youth time, I didn't really make it to the senior level. Part of the reason was studying abroad and really being too focused and too behind it. Yeah.
So you stopped playing and then you focused on your studies.
Yeah, I didn't stop playing, but I wasn't playing that serious anymore. I joined a club in the Netherlands, but that was a student club, playing or training once or twice a week, playing games on the weekend, but more for fun than just serious business.
So you finished your studies, and then the first club you worked for, it was Fortuna Düsseldorf?
Yes.
In the academy?
Yeah.
And then it was Red Bull Leipzig again in the academy. So do you remember what were the main challenges you encountered with the young athletes?
Yeah, trying to really get together a school, of course, and the dreams and aspirations of becoming a football player. Because in everyone's head was, I see the professional players and I want to be there. I want to get to that point. But like realizing in youth 17, around this age, or maybe also a little earlier, that it's very, very hard, and the chances to get to that point are so minimal. And these realizations combined with the expectations, aspirations, clash into each other, and it's a hard time for the young players.
And what kind of techniques would you recommend to an athlete who is lacking of this balance? Because you also
Yeah,
have the additional pressure from the parents.
yeah, yeah. I think there is not a single technique that helps with that, but finding support around you with whom you can talk through these things. That doesn't have to be a sports psychologist. This can be a friend, a coach, assistant coach, someone else from the team, or from the family as well, who tries to really understand your worries. And like talking about it relieves a lot of stress and a lot of yeah, there's dissatisfaction around it.
Of course, it is hard, and we see nowadays so many athletes that recently in the Euro we saw the Spanish player from Barcelona,
Lamin,
Yamal,
yeah,
in just a 16 years old boy
yeah,
playing with so much confidence
yeah,
in one of the biggest tournament around the world, and
yeah,
you see this player, and for me, because I am a player myself, I say how could a player in this age manage to have this kind of tools to navigate all these transition that he goes through.
mm. I don't know him personally, but it's I think it's the combination of having a lot of like trusting your qualities, self trust, self belief, um, that helps you perform at that point of time. You don't think much about failure or consequences. You're at a point where you're just enjoying football without thinking too much of the consequences in the back. You're full of trust in your qualities, because everything worked out fine until then. There was no, although maybe recently, no bigger setback. You got there, you play there. You can't really, you didn't have the time to overthink and go through it. You just do. But for him, for example, that time will come for sure.
As for everyone else,
Yeah,
life is
and then it gets it.
unexpected in many ways.
Yeah, and then it gets interesting how he deals with that and how he continues from that point on.
You said something about self belief. Would you agree that in order to build a strong self belief, you need to practice a lot of hours so you get this confidence that will help you perform in situations where you are
Yeah,
under pressure?
yeah, that's a skill. You have to work hours and hours and hours and hours, because when it's going well, you're performing, you're winning, you're scoring, then there is self-belief, then there is trust in your qualities. But that's not the time when it matters. It matters when things are at the bottom, when you're not playing well, and when you're dealing with setbacks and obstacles on your way. And then at that point in time, then the trust in your qualities, your self-belief has to be there, and it has to be practiced beforehand. Because like it's people ask me, or we're talking about how to get self-confidence. The first thing is by scoring or by winning. That's the consequence. You have to build self-confidence before winning, before scoring, and you have to work with at that skill, because that's the prerequisite for success. Being self-confident even during the times that are not going well, because then you have to be there. You have to get yourself up again and again and again.
And this is the time where you need a support system
Yeah,
to have the right people around you
yeah,
that will help you come out from the situation.
yeah. And it's a combination, like self-confidence, self-belief during the actions you take during the games, the training sessions. But afterwards, when you step into reflection or training, then your support system should be there, of course, praising the effort you get in, but also feedbacking the things that are not going well, because there's always room for improvement, always. this combination is hard to acquire. Like being really self-confident during games, and a little more doubtful and reflecting in the preparation for the next one.
Let me ask you something because it's interesting, very interesting what you're telling me. Have you heard about the fact that there are some players who perform in the training? They are the best players in the training, but when the game comes, they are not the same players.
Mm-hmm.
But we see in the training, they put the effort, the hard work is there. Let's say they are the first who come in the on the pitch and the last who leave the football pitch.
Yeah.
But when the game comes, they don't perform on their best. Why do you think that happens?
No, definitely not because of the physical matters. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's maybe it definitely is a lack of self-confidence and a lack of or maybe a little anxiety around it, like performing under pressure, performing when the others are watching, performing when it matters, when the things are at stake, when consequences will be there. I think that's kind of where overthinking sets in and starts. The minute the game begins, the focus is not on the game anymore. It's on everything else, but not the game itself.
You gave me a great pass. Control the controllables.
Yeah, yeah,
Very easy in theory, but
yeah,
very hard in
yeah,
practice. And
yeah,
and I remember when I was younger, I was entering a football pitch. Maybe someone would say, "But you are not fast enough." But I knew that I'm very fast
yeah,
when I was starting play. But then I could start believing
yeah,
in what he was saying.
yeah.
So how do you manage to control the controllables in practice?
Clear focus, and at that moment, listening to yourself, and of course, listening to the ones around you who are your support system. Writing things down, making these messages as clear as possible, and have them around you. Remember them, recall them, having them maybe on the phone or on a sheet of paper in your bag. It's about repetition. It's about really believing what you think and believing what you want to believe. Of course, backed by the qualities, but in the end, you have to show these qualities when everything is at stake, and then you have to believe in these statements and not in the critical statements of someone else who says you can't run, you're too slow. Maybe then you start believing them and not yourself. And that's you start believing yourself by of course by repetition, and by looking for the good things you did, examples where you have been fast, examples where you executed good things, you scored, you won duels, for example. And these things have to be put up to the surface again and again and again. Yeah, it's so easy to look at all the negative things. It's
Yes.
really easy because everyone wants you to, and everyone thinks, okay, yeah, being critical and negative is good, but it's not. It doesn't build self-esteem. It doesn't build self-confidence. That's only what the positive things do.
I absolutely agree with you. What helped me also in the past, but I also know from other teammates, I built a routine
Hmm.
and I was following this routine every time,
Yeah,
every single time, listening to the same things, doing the same things all over again.
yeah,
And something else that really helped me, it was that I said when you start playing football, the dimension of a football pitch was the same.
mhm,
Nothing has changed. The only thing now is that you play in front of more people,
yeah,
but still you are in the same exact lines. So you cannot be more tired. You cannot run less fast. You cannot be less of a good
yeah,
player.
yeah,
It's just the same thing.
yeah. Most of the time, all these irrational thoughts that you have a rational counterpart that disagrees with them. Your example, someone telling you you're too slow, you definitely find an example that says differently and that proves them wrong and you right. But you have to get it up, you have to watch it, you have to see it again and again in order to believe yourself.
So this is a way to eliminate these limiting beliefs.
Yeah, something positive, or reframe them in another way. And of course, yeah, I just said it, right? Contrasting these things, yeah.
So let's go now back to your career. In 2018, you joined the first team of Red Bull Leipzig. I took a look at the squad from that year, and the average age was 22 and a half.
Yeah.
So how did you help these young athletes handle the pressure of playing for a club like Red Bull Leipzig? And why I'm asking you that? Because when I was there, I saw that your time there is limited if you don't perform,
Hmm.
because someone else is going to come. So how do you help all these young athletes?
Yes, your time is maybe limited, but on the other hand, you have an environment that really, yeah, gives you everything in order to excel, because it's all about, yeah, improving, developing, and if you put everything in, you you will be helped, you will be pushed forward. And most of the players that came in during that time were unbelievable good at what they did or what they do. And yeah, Leipzig gave them a platform to perform, and a platform, yeah, to where it was not the kind of the duty to win and win and win and win, but the yeah a challenge and like kind of an aspiration to get even higher and higher and higher.
So just say like Red Bull is a great stepping stone
Yeah,
before you go to a club that is Bayern Munich,
that
because the winning there is completely different.
that's totally different approaches of yeah, going into the league. Totally different. You want to go in that now?
I will definitely go there. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for an athlete, Red Bull Leipzig is a great stepping stone,
Mm,
but you do the same thing. So you were from Red Bull Leipzig, where you had this environment.
mm,
You had this environment of great players, of young talents, of hungry, talented players in a club that in its DNA has the winning mentality.
mm.
You enter the training center, you enter the dressing room, and you see all these great stars there. What were your first thoughts?
It was kind of a professional first thought, because obviously I thought about it before that, and my first thoughts when entering the dressing room was, how do I manage to get a relationship with most of them, with everyone? Well, I know that with everyone it's not possible, but with most of them, and how to approach them, how to talk to them, how to, yeah, be a support for them. And that's kind of very, very, very individual, because everyone has its own issues, his own ideas of going forward. And I think that was my first thoughts then, that how do I get to everyone, and how can I from now on look for the things that maybe can help them. It's not that I stood there and like, oh, no. I think that would
But
have been the wrong approach.
absolutely, and at the end of the day, they are human beings.
Yeah, and you miss that from the outside. You miss that definitely, because they really are human beings, and they have the same issues everyone else has. Just getting paid a little more and
Yes.
playing in front of 80,000 every weekend.
So talking about winning mentality, what were the differences between these two clubs?
Like I said, in Leipzig, it was like there's always more to achieve. There's always yeah, the next challenge and the next thing. We can go from fourth to third, and we want to, of course, we want to secure Champions League, but maybe we can go third, and maybe we can push for the championship. But that's just a push. Of course, we want it, but yeah, let's try it. And the aspirations were there. That's totally different in Munich, because there you have to win championships. You have to win every single game, and there's no discussion about it. It's when you step into on the training ground, into the building, you see, and it's stated, of course, also our aim for this season is to win the triple. That's why we go here, and that's our thought of playing football. It's our duty at least to win one title, but that's only okay. If we win two, we're kind of satisfied, but only if we win three, then it's a really, really good season. And the duty to fulfill this, it's you have to learn it. You when you come from a club like Leipzig and you think, oh, wow, next step, the joy in winning is everywhere, and then you step into the training ground or to the training ground of Bayern Munich. I think you only have something to lose, because the championships are there to win, and if you don't win, it's a loss. It's devastating. It's not a successful season. And to work against that, that's tough.
What is happening then in the training ground every day? Is it like a war?
No, not at all. Not at all. The players are trying to improve, are trying to evolve. They try to get better. That's why they're there. And I think most of them, if you, for example, after the training sessions, you won't see, for example, Robert Lewandowski go to the changing room directly after training. He will continue doing his own shooting routine. He will do this and that in order to improve. And that's the same for almost all the big players. They always find something else, some detail to work on, some detail to improve.
That's amazing. Even though they have won so many titles,
Yeah,
they are still willing to improve.
yeah. They're driven. Yeah,
They are driven. So let's talk now about obsession, as you said, driven. What do you think about it? There are some players they are obsessed, which affects their private life as well. How do you handle these individuals? How do you help them from your side, from your perspective?
Yeah. It doesn't have to be something bad in the beginning. As if they live with it, well, who am I to intervene, and who am I to do something about it? That's part of their personality. And if it brought them to that point, why change it? That has to come from themselves. I'm not the one to say, okay, maybe you should do a little less. We can talk about it, of course. I'm not the one who changes personalities. That's it. I think really hard to do. And this obsession, I think obsession is a very, very hard word, but I'm searching for a better one or another one, Ryan. The determination, maybe, that's something that fits better, I think, because they are determined to get better. They are determined to try to go to the next title, try to get the next award, and try to score the next goal. Like, for example, Robert Lewandowski. I think he was not obsessed with scoring goals, but he was determined to continue playing at a very, very high level, and of course to score. And he did everything in order to do it. With getting older, of course, but that maybe required even more work and even more specified work. And he dealt with it, he thought about it, and he prepared that way.
And how do you help these athletes? Let's say you have one Manuel Neuer, Joshua Kimmich, as you said, Lewandowski, Sané, when you were there. How do you help these elite athletes? Maybe to have 1, 2, 3% more on their performance. Because what we see on the TV, we see athletes with their strong personalities,
Yeah.
masters when they come to mentality, mental strength.
Yeah, maybe on the one hand, just listening to them, just being there, being a support if something's not going well, if they have something on mind they just want to talk about. Give them the space and room to do it. Maybe these are things that they can't talk about with the coach or with their wife at home. Yeah, you prepare a space where they can just release these thoughts or these expressions that maybe are on their mind and hinder them from performing every day, or giving them little expert tips on how to recover better from a mental point of view, how to maybe detach better from playing from work, and maybe to detach better from work and have a kind of a free mind at home, and to get routines into their regeneration schemes. A lot of things, but like only little things, details. Because in the end, for them, it's only about details. The last percents are only details, very, very small details.
While I believe every individual is unique, do you have personality types that you use to group players or understand them better? Let's say, for example, you see Joshua and you say he's a leader. You see someone else, you say he's an optimist, or he's someone who can push the team when they have a loss, when on a losing strike.
But I would not group them into personality styles and types. Not
Mhm.
at all. I'm going for the way that you were saying just in the beginning. Like every individual is his own, unique. Yeah. For all the things you just mention are part of it.
And regarding workshops, in a club that I was playing for, we did a workshop in the beginning of the year about the goals of the season. I do know from what you said that the goal is from a club like Bayern Munich is always the same, winning 3 titles every year. But what kind of workshops did you try to implement along the way during the season, just maybe to bring this team spirit even higher, or just to embrace this uniqueness from every individual in the club?
None at all. Because from my point of view, it's the coach who is in front of the players. And of course, the assistant coaches on the pitch, maybe once in a while, sporting director or CEO or who's in charge. But the connection has been between the coach and the group of players. And I'm there to support him. I'm there to give him input, or to give the assistant coaches input in order to work with the group.
So you had the opportunity to work with two great football minds. When we speak about winning mentality, you can have a winning group without a coach
Mm.
who is a winner. Two coaches that they are different personalities, but they are both winners.
Yeah,
I had the opportunity to work with Mr. Running, but he was a sporting director back then, so I didn't see him on a football pitch, but you did.
yeah.
So, from your point of view, can you describe how they manage high pressure roles like the ones they had?
For both of them is creating an environment where, of course, everyone knows that pressure, that there is pressure. It's about how you look at it and how you deal with it. How, for example, seeing it all as a challenge and not as a threat is a major point. And you have to create it. You have to look for the things in the next games in the season that really are a challenge and that you can try to master. And you have to frame like everything around it. For example, together with Ralf, we try to frame almost every game in a certain situation, a certain way. So so we build a lot of storytelling around. So
Do you have an example?
I'm thinking of it right now. Like for example, going to in a situation after a really few rough games, maybe losing one and drawing one and winning one, and it's like upside down all and over, and trying to find stability. For example, creating the picture of a boat where everyone is in, and a good boat is not built for staying in calm waters, not built for staying in the harbor. It's really built for these type of ups and downs and waves, and that's the way we all should look at it. There are ups and downs, and we can't change it. We have to deal with it, and we have to, yeah, embrace every challenge ahead. And the next wave that comes has to be tackled, and it has to be managed somehow. And then in the next step, here's what we do to take that challenge and to go through it. Look in detail on how we use our mood, our situation in order to win the challenge.
We spoke about Mr. Rangnick. He was a storyteller and find a way of communicating his message in a way that stays with the players.
Yeah.
We saw Nagelsmann in such a young age, having coached Red Bull Leipzig, Bayern Munich, and the German national team. What makes this individual special?
Very, very good knowledge and idea of how to play and how to outplay the opponent. Like finding ways to help the players, giving them advice and giving them support beforehand that they can use to manage to go past the opponents. And that's very, very detailed and very, very clever ideas that the players can take with them.
And when it comes to social skills, would you say that both coaches are coaches that their approach is in a friendly way that makes athletes feel comfortable playing for them?
Yes, of course, but it's you can't really compare them because there's such a big age gap between them. If you look at one or work with someone who is like 20 to 30 years older than you are, you look at him differently. Then
It's like a father figure, I guess.
who has experienced a lot of things, and on the other hand, you have someone who's about your age. That's a different conversation. That's different topics you talk about, and that's about finding a way to really stay on the same level, and it's so individual, and I think it's so depends on the group you're working with. Because as a 35-year-old coach, working with a team with an average age of 22 is totally different to work with a team which average is 29. Because you have to find a different approach. You have to find an approach that fits that age group. And that involves, of course, the style of communication and style of building the squad, building the culture, because they're not that experienced. But players around 28, 29, turning towards the end of their career, they probably don't need someone who explains them everything. They need room and space to get their skills on the pitch.
That you said turning to an age that also they go to the next chapter, which is retirement. And it's a big chapter, of course. Do you help the athletes to have an identity outside of sports?
Yes, but also depending on the age. I think the older they get, the more interested they are in that topic. There's no point in forcing a 19-year-old to think about their identity outside sport. Of course, you can do that, but I think there's no point in forcing it. If they want to do it, okay, fine, let's do it. I think it evolves, and it's something that comes up with age. They're getting 24, 25, and starting to think about something else than football. Then it's the right point to go into the topic. Maybe for some it's already 21 to go into that topic, and for others it's 28. I don't know, and I don't mind, but it somehow has to come natural, because then the interest, of course, is much more.
First thing, as a player, we all like to play. We all like to play as much as possible, but sometimes you are getting into a club. A coach has a different idea, completely different than yours. As football players, we always say that it's not our fault. It's the coach's fault, and the coach doesn't know what he's doing, and all these kind of things. But how do you deal with these players? Because you see that in the training. Maybe when they get the jerseys and they are not in the first 11, and you see this kind of frustration, disappointment. So how do you approach these players? Because you still need them in the team.
Yeah.
And as we know in football, it's things can happen so fast that from one day that you are on the bench, and next day you are first 11 and you are performing at your best.
And it's exactly that situation. I think that matters, or that way of dealing with it. Because on a professional base, you have to be prepared for everything, and of course, it's frustrating. But this frustration doesn't do any good, and you can be angry for a day, but you have to change the conversation. You have to change looking at things, because frustration doesn't help anyone, and yourself the least. And trying to reframe it and trying to, that's of course that's hard. No? If you see yourself sitting on the bench or in the second team, that's not something you like.
And you change your conversation that you do with yourself, right?
Yeah. It doesn't do any good to you to be bad in the second part of the training session then, because that what gets you to the second team or the bench in almost secure way. So you have to put these things into perspective and trying to be angry afterwards. But at that point in time, there's no room, there's no time for being frustrated. It doesn't help. You have to somehow turn the angriness into energy, and that's by of course by talking to yourself, by mostly only by talking to yourself.
And this is something that you do, let's say, and correct me if I'm wrong. You see that you don't play.
Yeah.
Instead of starting being negative, is maybe to ask yourself, why did that happen? What could I improve in order to be in the other side?
Yeah, that's something for afterwards. But right in that moment, there's no time for like being frustrated or being too doubtful or too negative. It's just about performing.
So you accept it and then you just get the most out of it.
Yeah, trying to that of course, and I'm not saying that's easy. Definitely not.
Of course.
But it's the only way. Accepting the things that happened and trying to get your focus back to training, back to the things you want to improve, focusing on the process. Because of course it could be that you're out of the first team or out of the first 11 for weeks, and then you have to find ways to focus on the process and try to get closer and closer and closer to the first 11. And that's by dealing with it afterwards, by, for example, talking to the assistant coaches, talking to the head coaches on what to improve, how to improve, what's the things that you have to do in order to get to the first 11. But that's only for around the training session. The training sessions of 60 to 90 minutes or the games are only for performing. Only, and that has to be in everyone's mind. It's only about performing in these 60 and 90 minutes. There's no room for self-doubt. There's no room for frustration, unless you can turn it into energy to perform well.
Because if you focus on these things, on negativity and all these limiting beliefs that you just mentioned, it's gonna worsen your performance.
Definitely, and
it's gonna affect you even more.
Yeah, and that's what I said earlier already. It's easy to be negative in these situations. It's very, very easy to fall in that trap. But deciding to be somehow positive and get the most out of it, that's the challenge. That's the really, really hard task. But these are the things that keep your self-confidence and keep your self-esteem high. Because you want to be good on the B team in the on the final day of preparations before the next game.
Because you still can use this opportunity to show that the coach made a mistake.
Yeah, and that's and chances for getting subbed in tomorrow, not in minute 80, 88, but in minute 60. And it's about these small steps, these details.
That sounds very easy, but at this moment, and I'm telling you from first hand,
I know
it's hard, but that's why we do this conversation, in order to raise awareness, because sometimes we just have the answers in front of us,
Yeah,
and we tend to focus in completely different things, and we lose
you lose the focus.
the idea.
Yeah, completely. I know that also from first hand. I know that this is difficult. And I also complained about coaches why they're not playing me and whatever. And it is really hard, but there is no other way. If you want to be good at what you do, if you want to play the next day, then it's not about frustration at that moment. Maybe be frustrated in 30 minutes. Toss your shoes against the wall in 30 minutes. Be angry in the ice bath. Do it. Be it. It's totally fine. You have to get your emotions out at some point. That's totally fine. But at that moment, you have to try to perform.
And talking about hard tasks, something else that I would like to ask you, because we see that is happening, is the social media and all the scrutiny that there is around social media when a player doesn't perform according to the preference of some individuals. What would you say that an athlete should do in order to avoid all this negativity, but not by avoiding, meaning like, okay, it is there, but I'm not I'm not doing anything about it, but facing it and solving it.
Yeah, but one point is turning away from it, definitely, because it's too much. It's too much. And if you are in the spot of, for example, giving all the social media stuff to someone else, do it. It's too much distraction. It's so hard to not take it personal. If someone blames you, if someone insults you, if someone's insulting your family members, or even if you see it and if you turn towards it, again, it's easy to talk about, but it requires work and hours of work to really deal with it. Like putting, again, like I've said earlier, these irrational thoughts of you're a bad player, you're a bad person, somehow to put it into another frame and putting some rationality to it, because of course you are not a bad person. You have a lot of friends. You're liked by a lot of people. The performance today was an exception because you're playing in the first division somewhere. You're playing Champions League or wherever you're playing. You're scoring. You earned your spot there. You worked years for being in that position, and the people who are talking about you are just some random guys sitting on their couches, maybe 15 or 16, having achieved nothing. But you don't see that in the first place. You see just someone who says you're bad, and you don't see the person behind it and the reason why they're doing it. But my recommendation in the first place would be just don't engage in it. Just give it away. But on the other hand, it's nice to hear all the good comments if it works out fine. If you're scoring, for example, and there's a nice picture of you, of course, it's nice to read the comments. Yeah, but also this direction is somehow not good because it's the extreme on the other hand. Everyone is telling you you are great, you're the best, you're scoring, I love you, whatever. But that's also an extreme, and you somehow with both extremes you have to get closer to the middle to find the middle way, because with everything that was good there were also a few tiny details maybe that weren't that good. Maybe you scored twice, but your pressing behavior wasn't that good. You can improve that. And on the other hand, maybe you missed two big chances in a big game, but for example, your pass quality or your work ratio was very, very high. But no one sees it. They only look at the missed chances. And you have to get these details or these counterparts into the picture as well.
Now you spent almost 10 years working as a sports psychologist for football clubs. I think, if I'm not mistaken, this year you decided to become self-employed
Yeah.
and open your own practice. So how did this idea come about?
It was always in the back of my head because the football business, of course, like other business as well, I think it's not for always. It's not you don't want to be part of it all the time, for many reasons. I think there are a few practical reasons as well to look at it from a different perspective. Like when you're in the club, you're really part of it. You see it the way the people around you see it, and you create blind spots for a lot of things. And when you're out stepping outside and watch clubs, individuals, coaches, players, whoever, you see things differently, and you put down the club glasses and have your own perspective, and that perspective is very often completely different. And I think this perspective helps the individuals much more than the advice or the work with someone within the club. Of course, there might be, of course, regarding the psychologist position, there might be trust issues as well. If the players see you joining the club with the head coach and seeing a good relationship, then they might not turn to you 100%. They open up, but maybe only 95%. There's always the chance that something can maybe go that way, even if you don't do it. You just can't change it.
We are almost done. Almost done. The last thing I have prepared for you, just as a small surprise, I have 5 questions that you answer them either by saying a word or a phrase.
Okay.
Is the fire round. So, what are the 3 key lessons you learned while working for Bayern Munich?
First one is football is not everything in life. Pressure is just kind of a state. You can work around it. There's always a way through it, I think.
Love it. So, what was the most challenging case of an athlete, without saying a name, of course, you had to help, and how did you do it?
Maybe someone who came from a completely other cultural environment to the club, and trying to fit in while not losing the cultural identity.
Wow. Yeah, that is a
That's
hard one.
a very hard one. Yeah, I try to come up with a lot of ideas and solutions, but in the end, I kind of hired a teammate who spoke the language perfectly, and together we somehow tried to
Help him
fasten,
adjust.
the integration or the adaptation process. And so it was teamwork to get him into, and that was again not about single strategies or methods. It was about details in the daily routines, a mixture of feeling like home within another country. So maybe adapting to a few things from the new country, but keeping others from the old one.
Can you name 3 players you have worked with were mentally the strongest?
Willi Orban, Kimmich, Manuel Neuer, maybe.
What are the 3 books you would recommend as must reads for athletes?
There's a nice golf book, The 15th Club. A nice one would be
How to Train a Wild Elephant.
and that's completely away from football or sports, but it's a mindfulness based book. It's with nice exercises for everyday life. One about self-talk or the voice within. It's called Chatter.
And the last thing is, of course, what is your goal for 2024?
I think broaden my perspective in other sports than football as well. Of course, football will always be my main focus because that's where I come from. That's what I like working in. But getting the perspective from other sports and broaden my point of view will be a target or task for 2024.
Great.
Yeah.
Now I have just one more thing that I would like to ask you. In case of an athlete who would like to reach out to you because he needs or she needs some help, where can they find you?
Yeah, the easiest way would be taking a look at drmaxpelka.de. That would be the easiest thing. But we can also put my business card, for example, in the comment section if that's possible.
Absolutely, of course. Great. That would be all. No more surprises. I would like to thank you for taking the time. It really It gave me a perspective from your side and how it is to look in sports from your lenses. And I hope that the athletes who are going to listen to our interview, this discussion, that they're going to take something
Yeah.
out of it.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, thanks for the conversation. It was nice to be here.